Hello, hello, hello. Good morning and welcome back to the SpaHive Business Besties podcast. Good morning, MaryAnn.
Good morning, Julie. Good morning, listeners. Julie, how you doing?
Fantastic. I got my workout done this morning.
Wow.
I already drank 24 ounces of fluid because
Of fluid?
I am amping up my water intake. To my goal is between 80 and 90 ounces of water because as we've talked about on many episodes about my tracking my sleep and my recovery and my overall well-being, that I think some of like little fluctuations that I get from my Aura ring are directly related to mild dehydration. And
Mm.
mild dehydration can happen at like 60 ounces of water. Like that's just not enough. So I put myself on a program starting yesterday. Maybe the day before, but I didn't, yeah, Saturday or I don't know, whatever days we're on, I don't know. But trying to get in 80 ounces of water. But then I found the first day I was like chugging water at like 6 at night, which was
No.
a bad idea.
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to get in 50%, like 40 ounces before noon. Then the other 40 ounces, by dinner.
Mm. That's a
So
good
that
idea.
after dinner, I'm just maybe drinking like a little tea or something because I don't want to get up 2 times a night to go potty.
No, because then that defeats your sleeping
Exactly. And it's
situation.
hard to go back to sleep. And, then I have to practice my box breathing. But that kind of segues us into our little mini episode today. Because I feel like I have sort of perfected the art of box breathing, which helps me let everything else go and go back to sleep and not think about anything else. And so we're talking about today as, we've headed out of Thanksgiving and now into, the busiest holiday season of the year.
Yep.
We're going to talk a little bit about the art of doing nothing. Who does nothing, right? I
None of us.
mean, you brought this up. You saw a reel
Yes. So
that
I saw this
sounded
reel.
interesting.
It did. I'm gonna tell you about it. So I saw this reel in one of my marathons of scrolling, which I'm trying not to do. But
That
this
doom
one,
scrolling.
yes, but this one was useful because here, look, we are talking about it. So it's this reel and it's basically just this picture of this guy and there's a timer near him and he's just sitting in his chair, like on the other side of the screen. And he is trying to work his way up to 60 minutes of absolute stillness and quietness. So really he's not listening to anything, he's not reading anything, he's not
It's
watching
essentially meditating.
anything. Or he might not be. He might just be thinking, right? Like he might just be in his head. And so then kept thinking, I was like, this is a really cool challenge. One, I mean, I could find an hour, a pocket of time if I wanted to, right? I was about to say I can't find an hour, but you make time for what you want to make time for.
True.
Um, I'm not sure if I'd want to spend a whole hour doing this, but I thought this would be a great topic to practice some stillness, especially as we go into the busy holiday season.
I think that's great. I think that stillness is a skill either we've lost or we never learned. I feel like some people, we live in a world that is so constantly overstimulating, that, what do we do to completely restore? And I know we've talked a lot about, resetting, so I feel like being still is a powerful tool, to create clarity, an emotional reset, help yourself
Absolutely.
out. And I mean, think about, I don't know about you, but this happens to me a lot, which is, do you ever pull into, I mean, you might have kids in the car most of the time, but, um, like pull into your driveway and turn off your car and just sit there.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
Okay, I
It's
guess
not
I'll walk
planned.
in.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
walk
not
in
like a
eventually.
planned reset, but it's your brain saying like, I need to buffer this for you.
I
You
need
know, like I need to buffer this playlist for you because, you are begging for stillness.
Yeah.
Um, or
Well,
for me,
mhm.
what about, I have the best ideas when I'm either driving in the car with no music on, I'm like just driving, or in the shower.
Yep.
I have like this epiphany, an aha moment, or I wake up from a sleep and I'm like, oh my God, I had the best idea when I shut my brain off, and put it into our spas. Like when we're like, have you ever had a guest that you're like, you're like, okay, take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out. And you're like, Jesus, has this person ever taken a deep breath?
They probably say that about me. They're like, "Geez, what is going on with her?"
What's going on with this person? So, I don't know.
I've got
Mhm.
some statistics for you because I
Mhm.
find this topic fascinating. So first, I think we should shift how we're looking at stillness. I think we can look at it a lot and equate it to laziness. And we need to start equating it to neurological recovery. So not only does that make you feel, it makes you feel like you're actually being productive during your stillness, which I guess is like an oxymoron, right? Because you're not supposed to. But at the same
Right.
time, if that's what gets you to be still, then let's do it.
Mhm.
A little statistic from the University of California says that letting your mind wander boosts problem solving by 40% compared to focus time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Who
that
knew? I
goes,
always thought I was lazy and came up with my best ideas
no,
when I'm like sitting on my porch or taking a walk on the beach with no outside stimulation. Um,
absolutely. You got to let your
who knew?
mind wander. Oh, yeah. Friends, a study published in Frontiers in Psychology shows that intentional mental rest improves emotional regulation and decreases stress related cortisol levels.
Interesting.
So,
Interesting.
when I'm sitting here doing nothing, I can just tell my husband that I'm reducing my cortisol levels.
And
Perfect.
it's a prompt, it's a prescription for you all listening to make an appointment at the spa because there's no better time to sit, do nothing, think about nothing, and relax at the spa, as part of your wellness practice.
Hopefully, you don't get a chatty Cathy, though.
Yeah,
Then you're
one of the spas I worked with just got a negative review. Luckily, it wasn't. Well, it was a secret shopper. The therapist taught nonstop,
Did they did the
and
person talk back, though?
so the person said, in all fairness, the provider did respond to my cues that I didn't want to chit chat. but continued throughout the massage to explain body parts that they were working on or where they felt tension, um, specific muscle conversations, which she didn't feel like she cared about.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, it was a secret shopper and it was free, so what do you want?
Well, yeah, that's true. But good
But
feedback. Good feedback.
yes, right. Great feedback because we can always do better, always. I
Always.
think that, it's hard, as women to just sit still. Like 2 minutes in, I'm like, oh, yeah, I got to put the clothes in to dry.
Yeah.
Or I do that. And, I will say, I've been on this, sort of personal wellness journey for a long time now. So I will say I have mastered the art of sitting still, and being still and quieting my brain. However, not all the time. Sometimes I want to do it and I'll be laying in bed and it's the perfect time to quiet your brain. And so I'll say, I like to practice box breathing. And so I'll be doing my breathing and then I'm like, ooh, I forgot to blah blah blah. And then I'm like, oh no, no, come back, come back.
Yeah.
And then I'll start to do my breathing again. And then I'm like, "Oh, I need a piece of paper. I thought of like 3 things I have to do tomorrow." It's like
Mm.
your brain is constantly pulling you out of, that place that you try to be.
Yeah, and I think it's important when we're gonna introduce our challenge in just a few minutes that
Uh-huh.
we remember that we want to practice this stillness. I feel like when we have all of our cognitive functions, right? So not necessarily when you're still when you're about to go to bed, right? Or not necessarily like when you're still groggy in the morning. I think the morning's a great time to practice it, but I would feel like I would challenge us to, wait a little bit until your mind is really kind of going, then to start your stillness.
I don't know if anybody listening can relate to what it feels like to have a brain on overload. Um
I was talking to one of my sisters. Um, I was talking to one of my sisters. I have many, but I was talking to one of them. And I was telling her about this reel. And I was like, yeah, I think we're going to talk about it in a podcast. Like, what do you think about just like sitting there? And she's like, what do you mean he was just sitting there, not doing anything? I was like, yeah, so not journaling, not writing, not listening. And she's like, oh, I don't like that. And she said, she's like, because what am I just going to do? And I said, well, you just sit there in stillness. And she said, I don't like that. Then you're just stuck with the thoughts in your head. And then she was like, also, I feel like I would just be trying to focus on my list, right? Like, oh, just like you were saying, Julie, right? You're like, oh, I forgot to do this. I forgot to do that. And she's like, so then I would want to bring myself out of my stillness to write it down so I didn't forget about it.
right, right. And I think that I have a bedtime meditation that I do. And, it says, as your mind wanders and starts to think about something else, there's a real prompt that they address it, right? When your mind wanders to start to think about something else, bring it back, by using, these words. And mine happens to be, a nightly prayer meditation. So, you know, those same 2 words, might not work for everyone, but thinking about like what could bring you back to, your stillness. And it might even be something like as your mind wanders, come back to stillness, right? You have to say it consciously to yourself until it becomes a practice, and it doesn't feel as hard. And some
So
days I
my,
feel like are harder than others
yeah, of course, right? Well, of
because I
course, I
can't
was,
quiet my brain sometimes. I like it's a real struggle.
yeah. Absolutely. Could my 2 words be 6, 7? Does that count? 6,
6,
7?
7, 6,
6,
7.
7?
You know, ever since we talked about that, I saw like friends post on Facebook, like, what the heck is 6, 7?
6,
Why are
7?
my kids saying this, like coming home from school? And then I see like teachers responding, friends that I have that have kids that are in like middle school or high school. Um, and teachers are like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sick of hearing that all day long at school."
I
And
know.
I was like, "Yeah, we knew about that way before."
I know. We just had, like a parent PTA meeting at our elementary school, and the principal was talking, and he was more talking about trends that are dangerous, not 6, 7, right?
Yeah.
But he said, "You know what? I'm sorry, but if I walk into a kindergartner room and the kindergartner is saying 6, 7," he's like, "I'm laughing because I think it's hilarious." I thought that was so funny because it is sort of funny. And I was like, "Oh, maybe that was my kindergartner that he walked into, and there he is saying 6, 7 and writing it on the board." So,
I should have asked Layla if that's something that comes out of her mouth. Although I have heard Ethan say it, and he's also 6. So yeah.
yeah, it's funny.
Br-
I
Bra.
brah, yeah. I can
I'm like,
understand,
call me bra. Say that to me one more time.
and
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna lose it.
strangle you.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna strike. I'm gonna lose it.
So I mean, I feel like uh, in your sister's defense, and I think a lot of people can relate to this. Like, you can still sit on the couch and not rest or reset, right? You can take a day
Yes.
off from work and still be more drained than sometimes after a work day. So, stillness is different. It's a moment that your nervous system finally gets the signal, that you're safe, you can relax for real now. And that's when the real healing and repair kicks in. And the cool thing is, you don't need to do this like the real an hour a day.
No.
So let's talk about the challenge. Lay it out for us, MaryAnn.
Yeah. So our challenge will be to take 3 days. So it's not terribly long. We have 3 days. And again, we make time for what we want to make time for, friends. So we're going to take 3 days. The first day, we're going to start with 10 minutes of absolute stillness. Second day, you're going to work your way up to 15 minutes. Third day, we're going to do 20 minutes. And what I was sort of thinking is that, Julie, if you have one of those brains, sort of like my sister was saying, that starts their to-do list, why don't you take 2 minutes before you set your challenge to do that? Write out your list, right? And so then
Mhm.
when you get into that 10-minute segment, 15-minute segment, you're really like allowing yourself to sit in the stillness because your brain had already made the list and written it
Right.
somewhere. I think that might be a really great little hack, especially if you're finding yourself having a hard time with it. You know, they're really small amounts of time, but they make really big impacts. So 10 minutes can shift your nervous system. A review in clinical psychology review found that 10 minutes of quiet, non stimulated sitting is enough to lower your cortisol, calm the sympathetic nervous system, improve emotional regulation, and increase clarity. Now you work your way up to 20 minutes, which will be our third day. And the University of Michigan shows that 20 minutes can improve memory, focus, problem solving, and decision accuracy. I mean, that's huge, right?
Mhm. That is
Those
huge.
small little pockets of time can really make a big difference, especially as we start to go into this season that, it's really hard to find those quiet moments. But I mean, can you just imagine, imagine it. You're sitting in front of, let's say you celebrate Christmas or some other twinkle light. I don't know. But you're, sitting in front of your Christmas tree or your twinkle bush, whatever you might use. And you just get to look at it for 10 minutes. That's kind of nice. I
That
like it.
is nice. I mean, can I do my 20 minutes while I'm walking?
No. So that's the
I have to
thing,
be
Julie.
sitting. I
You
can't be
have
walking.
You can't, that's the thing. It's not movement. It's not watching. It's not reading. It's not any of that.
Hmm. Well, try it with us. Notice the shifts that you get going through this 3 days. Try 3 days, the 10, 15, and 20 minutes of stillness. And if you feel something lighter, calmer, clearer, let us know. Message us, tag us on your social media. We want to hear your experiences because this isn't just a challenge. It's a reminder that you deserve rest. We all deserve rest that actually restores us. So, alrighty, MaryAnn, let's go out. Let's do nothing
Let's do
and
it.
let it change us.
Perfect. Here I go. Silence. Starts now.
Well, thanks for joining us today in our little quick tip episode, a little mini episode for you. We'll look forward to seeing you here again next time live in our SpaHive Business Besties podcast. If I've piqued your interest, even just a little bit, about the SpaHive, good news. You can learn more over at our free Facebook community. That's right. Head on over to Facebook, search SpaHive Professional Community, and join me, my SpaHive board, and over 400 other spa, hospitality, and wellness professionals there. The community is always free, chocked full of tips, tricks, and educational content to serve you. Look forward to seeing you there.